Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I am your reader, Jay. These are going to be general messages for the sign of Libra in August 2019. What's going on, Libra? How you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing well. Libra, it's a rainy day right now where I am. It is coming down, my friends. Hopefully the weather's nice where you are, or if you like the rain and you're in a rainy area right now, I hope you're enjoying yourself. And then just in general, I hope everything in your life is going pretty well for you, Libra. Given that, summer's almost over, guys. I'm not, bummed about that, but, I have to say summer is a pretty cool season. Like, anything but winter, in my opinion, is a good season. So, anyway, Libra, I've shuffled off camera. That's your main spread there. I'm going to shuffle on camera now for your outcome and your overall energy. Once all the cards are out and they're lying face up on the table, that's when the reading begins. You can check in the description box for the timestamp if you want to jump ahead. Also down there, you can check out the information that's there. If you want to get a personal reading with me, it's pretty simple. You tell me what kind of reading you want. I say cool. I give it to you within 24 to 72 hours. And it's pretty straightforward, everything that's down there. But if you do have a qualifying question or a clarifying question, you can go ahead and email me at the exact same address, okay? And also, guys, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Do all those fun things YouTube allows you to do. Helps me grow as a reader here on YouTube. Helps the community grow. I've come into contact with some really cool people through this platform and through this work, so I want to see that work continue. I want to see these connections continue. So if you want to do anything that YouTube allows you to do that will help me out in that regard, go for it. All right, guys, let's get into it. I want to see Libra's outcome in August 2019. I want to see Libra's outcome for August 2019. Please show me. August 2019, outcome for Libra, please. Did I say April? August 2019. In case I said April. I don't know if I did or not. August 2019, please. Oh, down on the ground. Bottom of the deck will be the overall energy. And it came like this. So let's flip and see what came face down for you, Libra. Okay. Oh. How's that look on screen? Pretty good. Pretty good, if I do say so myself. All right, guys, let's see what's going on. Please show me where Libra is in August 2019. Please show me Libra in August 2019. Please show me. Whew. Thank you. All right, guys, coming in to your to your reading for August, you come in with the King of Swords, home advantage, home field advantage, right? Air sign energy, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Obviously, you're a Libra, so you might be included in this energy, but you might be dealing with another air sign, or at least someone who has the qualities of the King of Swords. You're really operating on a, is that the right phrasing I want to use here? Hold on. Yeah, I think you're kind of operating on a need-to-know basis, but basically, Libra, you're not interested in talking more than you need. You're not interested in communicating more than need be in a given situation, in a given interaction. It's just not that you're not interested in pleasantries, but it's just, I think you're really minding your words, or you're really minding who has information or who you give information to. There's a heavily discerning energy with this King of Swords right now. He's being extremely calculated with his speech. Maybe that's because, again, it's on a need-to-know basis as far as any type of information you care to share. It could be because you're trying not to offend people. You're trying to be nicer to people in terms of conversation. It could be simply you're tired of talking. Your reasoning could be your reasons will be varied. But the bottom line is it's coming from this place of discernment. It's coming from this place of, sort of looking out for number one, sort of looking out for your own best interest. I don't know exactly what this is referring to just yet, but there's a lot of ownership in your words. You know, accountability. I think maybe some of you at a previous point may have used your words and communicated kind of off the cuff or kind of without any regard for any repercussions. But there's something here about being very careful about words and word choice, or who you let into a conversation, who you invite into a conversation, all these other kinds of things. Is just like being careful. And it's gonna, you know, the motivation behind that is going to be varied as well. Some of you don't want to get into further trouble. Others of you, you don't want to hurt people's feelings. Others of you, you just don't want to be involved in any drama. So you're kind of excusing yourself from, you know, pointless, you know, talking points or pointless conversations, things that will not result in any type of resolution or any type of solution, right? So it's picking and choosing when to open your mouth. And whether that's good or bad, or whether that sounds kind of snaky or sneaky or manipulative, that's up for you or potential cross watchers here. But I think you're doing it very consciously picking your words. Very, 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 very particular about what you're telling people, or what you're excluding people from knowing about you or knowing about a particular situation. You know, you've got this silhouette of a sword going straight through his head there. So again, like that's that emphasis on talking, or the emphasis on communication. Swords represents mental capacities and intelligence and communications and all these things that are essentially associated with all the air signs, right? So it's in the forefront of your mind how you're interacting with other people, or conversely, how people are interacting with you. If you have recently, you know, it's sort of like a little bit of a game of telephone. Like, this is just an example. You may have told someone something in confidence, or told like 2 or 3 people something in confidence. And then word gets back to you that someone you never intended to know that information now knows that information. And so you do a little detective work, and you kind of go back to those original 2 or 3 people that you expressed whatever you told, you know, communicated with. And you're basically trying to sort out, this is just an example, you could be doing this. You're trying to sort out who told your business, who ran their mouth to somebody that didn't need to know whatever you told them in confidence. You know what I mean? So there's a potential for that there. I don't feel that for everybody. That's not going to resonate with everybody. But like, that's kind of the game, quote unquote, the game that some of you might have to play to get to the bottom of a situation. You might have to feed someone false information, wait for it to trickle down, or wait for it to be disseminated and shared with other people. And then you're like, aha, I told Bob the lie. And then 2 or 3 days later, I hear it from this person over here. Obviously, Bob is the person that blabbed originally. You know what I mean? And that's not foolproof, guys. You know, that's not, I don't think that would be proper detective work. But this really feels like, you know, Libra is really minding what comes out of their mouth, or who they tell things to. And if it isn't you necessarily giving information, you would be receiving information. You would be the person that is being trusted with information, or you're being the person that is being excluded from a certain conversation. It can go either way. It's a general reading. But communication and how to use it, or how to utilize it, and how to you know, effectively dodge certain interactions due to conversations is in there somewhere. It's very interesting. It's not for me to like it or dislike it per se, but it's like, I don't really know how I feel about that, because, you know, contextually, Libra, you usually are very open. You know, you're usually very much, you know, devil's advocate, able to see both sides or all sides to an issue, not one to shy away from conversations. Libra is definitely, you know, you've got that cardinal energy in you. So you're definitely someone who initiates a conversation or would be willing to partake in communication and conversations. And I'm just feeling like there's a little bit of a break on this. Like you're really not as keen to jump into a lot of this, a lot of communication. Okay. So what else is going on down here? Ooh, shaking the table. Oh. All right. So it could be. Yeah, I think like it could be like how I just said, naturally, you're probably more interested in communication and talking and sharing information or sharing your experiences in the world or sharing your ideas and whatever. I think maybe you're a little gun shy about that right now. Because over here, the eye line of the King of Swords is looking at the Five of Swords. So Five of Swords is talking about spats. It's talking about confrontation, arguments, short-lived but intense, being that it's a 5. And Swords, again, dealing with communications, being... Traditionally, we're looking at, multiple people, getting into disagreements with one another, right? And I mean, it could be you, this dejected, very tired or defeated looking knight. But the thing about this Five of Swords is the knight, although is on the ground and looks defeated, actually is the one holding all the swords. So there is a potential between you and another person, or you and several people, Libra, where miscommunication, poor communication, volatile communication, or volatile arguments, whatever has happened, nobody walks away a winner truly. Maybe you're the knight here with the 5 swords, maybe somebody else is the knight with the 5 swords, but there is someone that on the surface might feel a little bit victorious, might feel as though they came out on top in the discussion, came out on top after the dust settles, but ultimately nobody wins, because in the background you've got people walking away there, and in the foreground, again, we can't see his face, we can't really be sure, but that knight doesn't look over the moon about whatever's just happened. So due to something, I feel like this has happened previous to now. For a few of you, it could be like sort of concurrent or very recent, but I feel like this is weeks or months ago, in some cases maybe even years ago, that to some degree you felt as if you lost something, but on the surface, for all intents and purposes, or the way it looked to other people, maybe it looked like you won something. So we could be talking about a legal case. I don't feel that heavily, but it could be something like that, where you had to pay a settlement instead of, paying or jail time, just as an example, because I'm not really feeling that, but just to show you. So instead of doing time in jail, someone gets hit with a fine or a settlement. And it's like, well, you didn't go to jail, but you're like, but my pockets are empty. I had to pay this money out, or I lost money on this deal, or something like that. And people are like, it could have been worse. Or you're realizing it could have been worse. So it's like a victory, but it's not really a victory. It's like, I still lost something. Maybe not my freedom, but certainly I lost cash on this, or I lost a friendship, like again, with the person in the background walking away. So, and that could be it. Okay, that hits way better than what I was just saying about potential jail. I feel as though some of you out there, not all of you, of course, have had a falling out with someone of for various reasons, and relationships of any type. Friends, family, lovers, it does not matter. And there's a parting of ways. Somebody like walks off and says, you know what, I can't handle this, or you know what, fine, you made your point, I'll go, or this isn't going to work for me, I have to leave. And there's just like this distance that I feel is pretty much maintained. But there's a longing or a feeling of disappointment with the situation entirely. It's like overall, someone, either you or the other person, or both of you, or everybody involved, just is not happy with how things have turned out. What once was maybe a copacetic energy, what once was maybe a very solid relationship, a very solid partnership, a very solid dynamic in a family situation, is now splintered, is now like fractured. And That would give you pause, Libra, if you feel you've had a hand in that dissension. If you feel you've had a hand or a contributing element or contributing position in making someone walk away or making someone feel as though there's nothing to salvage here. And so now, in your present moment, you're really careful with how you communicate, perhaps with that person that you initially had the falling out with, or the argument with, or the disagreement with, right? So truly, even though on the surface, in some type of way, it's not super clear, someone is the winner in that Five of Swords energy, someone is the winner, but they don't feel it. It looks like it, maybe technically through the court of law or some other type of decision, you know, whether it's, you know, gaining access to something or maintaining ownership of something, sure. But in some other way, probably more the emotional way, or in the way of being connected and having a relationship, having rapport with someone feels they lost that. So it's like if you gain something in the material world, again, like possessions or even money, like I mentioned before, but you lost the connection with the person, you lost the friendship, you lost the relationship, you lost, you know, the trust between you, it feels like nothing. Like I would give that up to regain the trust of this person, or I would give all that up to get them back in my life. This could be you, it could be the other person. It's general, flip it around as you need be. So together, I could understand why you're careful about your words or who you tell things to, because at some previous point you've been burned, or you got yourself into trouble, or things escalated and got out of hand, and you said things you didn't mean and they said things they didn't mean, and it's too late to take it back now. So going forward, or how you're consciously aware of your situation now is, shit, I can really mess things up when I get to talking, or when I get to, you know, expressing myself in a particular way. Or if I'm telling the wrong person stuff, and then they go run and tell my business, and now I'm on the hook for something that I thought I was sharing in confidence, you know? So that sucks. Oh, boy. So, and it's very reflective. Like, again, the eye line of this King of Swords is looking at that Five of Swords, and I feel it's like a reflection. I feel it's like recalling the details, recalling the incidents, recalling the interactions, and it's just like leaving you, yeah, thank you, leaving you with this Knight of Wands energy in reverse. I'll show you this card upright so you can become used to it. So the Knight of Wands is an adventurer, you know, would be somebody who's willing to take risks, somebody who is ready and able to kind of meet challenges head on, and does not waver, does not falter, is not afraid, right? Now, in the reverse, it may or may not be the exact opposite or negation of everything that I just said, but there's certainly, what strikes me most is immobile. Like, if you had plans to move forward, like go soaring, like flying out the gate towards a particular goal, or, you know, going even on a trip, or moving homes, moving apartment, whatever, there's a stoppage to your mobility. Either physically in this world, you can't travel where you wanted to travel, you can't move where you wanted to move, or there's mobility or immobility in terms of like progression in your life. You had a lot of great ideas, you were very excited about new projects, all this other kind of stuff, and now I feel as though, again, the brakes are on. Now, that could just be down to your energy, Libra. That could just be down to your feelings of inspiration, you know? You know, I feel as though in your day-to-day life, you know, your mundane 9 to 5, Monday through Friday type of life, you're doing what you need to do, you're going through the motions, you're showing up to work, you're meeting deadlines, you're going to meetings, you're going to this, you're going to that, you're doing the things that are on your calendar, on your agenda, right? But as far as like what the phase of your life, the stages of your life, that type of overarching progression is like halted. It's halted. And for some of you, it's because there's this person that was with you in the Five of Swords, or people, it could be more than one person, that has walked away, or you walked away, or there's just that distance between you. Again, this estranged, separated energy. Maybe they were a romantic partner, maybe they were a business partner, family, best friends, roommates, whatever. There was something that I think collectively you shared with them, or that you were hoping to share with them, and now that they're not there to receive it, or there to replicate that back to, or excuse me, reciprocate that energy back to you, you're kind of sitting with this stalled inspiration with that Knight of Wands in reverse. Stalled excitement, stalled creativity, stalled gumption and tenacity and willingness to charge forward towards whatever you were doing. A creative idea, like I said, traveling and adventuring around the world, whatever. It's just like, there's just like a total, like how it was and probably still will be for the remainder of the night, how it's like raining cats and dogs outside my house right now. It's like, that's what it feels like. Somebody or this situation has basically rained all over your parade. There's just like a total like 180 here. And it's not represented in these three cards, by the way. Whatever you had previously, or whatever you were hoping for previously, whatever you were working towards, that's not really here in the cards. I just feel it. It's like I had a goal in mind. I had a dream. I dreamed a dream. You know, I had this thing mapped out, and I was ready to go down this path with this person or people, or I was ready just to move forward in my own right. But because I've had disagreements, and maybe you didn't, whatever you were moving towards in your life, in your progression, Libra, maybe it had nothing to do with these other people, but because you kind of have a disagreement with them or falling out with them, now you kind of have no interest in really moving forward until you mend these bridges with these people. Does that make sense? In case it's not, it has nothing to do with them. You're like, I don't care that whether they're there with me or not. It's more of, I wouldn't feel right, or I would feel something. Despondent is a word that they just gave me, despondent. I would feel unfulfilled, or I would feel maybe wrong in some kind of way if I were to continue to move forward and not address the situation in the past, not bury a hatchet, not mend a bridge. And that's the thing. This is all like what I'm thinking you might want, or whoever the other person might be. Again, it's general. You could flip it. But I'm not sure that is even important. Like, there could be like ill focus on the relationship that you've lost. Like, is it not to undermine the relationship that you may have lost, or the person you may no longer speak to, or whatever connection you had, or whatever argument that has caused a rift? Not to undermine how important that is, but I feel that if you're in this discerning energy of the King of Swords, where you're, being careful going forward how you behave or how you communicate, I think that should remain the focus, or something relative to that. Some of you are putting a lot of emphasis on how I communicate with that person or people in that capacity. And it's just like, is that really, it's something about, okay. Okay, thank you. Because with the King and the Knight, especially the King of Swords, well, not this, there's like this avoidance of critiquing so far into the self. Like, I will I'm speaking as if I were you, Libra. Like, I'm gonna look at myself, I'm gonna hold myself accountable to a certain standard, but only so far. There's like more that I think you could dive into in terms of understanding something or trying to rectify something. I don't know what that is potentially meaning to you, but like, that's like a little caveat that they told me to share with you. So, discerning, bummed about losses, bummed about strained relationships, and really not having the energy or the inspiration or just the passion to move yourself forward in the same way that you were before the fallout. you know, life goes on, you know, time progresses, time marches on. You can't stop that. So, of course, you are, regardless, moving forward. But I think you're not thrusting forward. There's not an acceleration behind this progress. It's very slowed down, if not completely stalled, okay? Now, this other energy, it's behind your starting point. It might be the background, it might be upcoming, I'm not really sure just yet. What are we talking about here? It's like, there's a challenge for you, Libra, in following through, staying the course, staying focused, and not scapegoating, okay? So maybe that's what I was trying to get at before about diving deeper. Don't scapegoat, you know? Anyway, which one? Yes, okay, thank you. Took a minute there. So next up you have the Strength card, Major Arcana for Leo. So you might have a Leo in your life of significance, but you don't have to be. So in the back of your mind, because again, the orientation of the King of Swords, in the back of your mind is this need to be brave, or this potential or side of yourself that would call for you to be brave or stoic and really face down some deep, dark shit. Because the Strength card can be kind of nuanced, but what it really means to me most of the time, or at least at its core, I should say, at its core, is fighting for the better part of yourself to emerge. Pushing your best self forward, out into the open, out into the public eye, or up to your conscious level. You know, I think many of us, not just Libras, of course, but many people can get, you know, sidetracked in life, or they can get distracted, or they can become full of self-doubt or self-loathing or lack of confidence, all these kinds of things. And the Strength card is sort of the answer to that, and not from an ego-based way of being confident and being strong or feeling capable. No, from a deeply spiritual place. Yeah, it's a Major Arcana, so it's like an overarching theme. It really touches to a very nuanced yet very profound part of our identity, right? So the Strength card being in the back of your mind, you know there's work to do. You know you have something that you need to deal with or conquer or address and really focus on. And it will require you to be strong. It's going to require you to again, dig down deep and get in touch with energies and understandings and convictions and revelations that you've never encountered before in your life. And when I'm saying this, I feel that emphasis and that focus is only on you, Libra. It has nothing to do with anybody else in your life, no one else in your vicinity, no one else that you interact with. This work, this need to be strong, this need to be focused, this need to conquer, this need to really understand is all within yourself. Self-contained or self-focused energy. Didn't I say something like that? Self-focused? Whatever I said earlier. And it's not easy to do this. It's in the back of your mind, meaning you're not paying it conscious attention. What you're consciously paying attention to is the disappointment and the loss and the nobody's really a victor here, but somebody walked away with all 5 swords. Like, you're really analyzing the reality, what you've experienced, what you are able to observe out here in the 3D world. This Strength card is coming up as a very spiritual card for you today, Libra. It's asking you to go somewhere else within your body, within your spiritual body, within your emotional body, within your mental body, however you want to think about that, okay? It's asking you to really analyze and work on your own issues, consider your own shortfalls or shortcomings and pitfalls, and then asking you how you can conquer that, how you can master yourself. That's okay, and that plays into this being a King of Swords. The kings, especially in the court cards, are the masters. They've mastered their suit. They're at the top of the food chain here, right? It has nothing to do with being a male, by the way. King and me possibly saying him previous till now. You can be a female and this is your experience, so don't get wrapped up in gender, okay? But if you're truly going to be the King of Swords, the Master of Swords, right? If you're truly going to take up that helm, sit on that throne, you have to engage with this in the back. You got to clear that out. Was that you? I think it was. I think I'm having like a moment of clarity in remembering my own readings. I think for mid-July, if it wasn't you, if it wasn't you, I have no idea who it was, but I really feel, because they like hit me with going back a couple of weeks and doing a reading for you. I think in your mid-July, I gave you a whole analogy about cleaning up the stock room, cleaning up the back room of a department store or a retail space, doing inventory in your back room. And I just used language very similar to that when I was talking about this strength card and how I think that's what you need to do. So here it is again. If that was you that I talked about that in mid-July, here I am talking about it still, but lesser so, or in a different way in August. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do, Libra, but in terms of progression, where I think you want to end up, nobody wants to sit still in life most of the time. We all want to grow and experience more and, meet new people and accomplish things and all this that all speaks to growth, expansion, and progress, right? So you ultimately want that, but that's stalled out. And the way your eye line is fixated on this disagreement, this estranged shit over here, that's not the way. Your focus has to go to the back of the house, to what's in your subconscious mind, or what you've put, kind of off to the side or tossed completely out of your mind, is how do I conquer my own shortcomings? How do I deal with that? You're kind of doing it a little bit, because when I started with the King of Swords, I said I think that you're really evaluating how you speak to people or how you interact with people. You're being very careful. That's part of it, but there's something more. I don't know what it is. I'm not a therapist. I'm not you. I'm not your best friend, so I don't know. But I think that there's something more behind the scenes, behind the curtain, in the back of the house, in the back room of your life, that needs addressing. If you're able to do that, what happens? We get absolute progress. Chariot card. Major Arcana for Cancer. You might be dealing with a Cancer, but you don't have to be. Look at the parallel here. This is a card of progression, Knight of Wands, but it's stalled out. It's kind of in a muddy situation. It's not really moving anywhere. It's in reverse. Here's another card of motion, another card of progress, but it's a Major Arcana. So this is a trump to the progression of the Knight of Wands. So by doing that back of house inventory, considering all the things beneath the surface that are affecting your life or affecting the ways that certain relationships shake out in your life or they kind of evolve in your life, doing that work, whatever that means, I don't know what that means, therapy, I don't know what that means, journaling, meditation, having a conversation, an open, honest conversation with other people about your tendencies and your behaviors. It could be just a matter of admission. You might need to admit, I am kind of a manipulator. This is just an example, because not all Libras are like this, but I'm just trying to illustrate. It could be something so simple as having conversations with other people and with yourself, looking yourself in the mirror and basically saying, my name is Libra and I'm a master manipulator. Or my name is Libra and I'm kind of abusive with my words. Or my name is Libra and whatever fault you have, and admitting it to yourself, or admitting it to the parties that need to hear it most. Could be in the form of an apology. You don't have cards of apology on the table here, but it could be something so simple. It doesn't always have to be therapy. It doesn't always have to be some deep psychological trauma or childhood trauma. For some of you, it's not that that type of deal. For others, it straight up is childhood trauma. It straight up is deep wounding. And we have a need to face it. Now, the Chariot underneath the Strength card, right? Once you do that work, or rather the gift that comes to you, ooh, that's interesting. The gift that comes to you is the Chariot. Now, I did say Major Arcana for Cancer, and I'm not sensing that this is necessarily an external person, although it could be for some of you. And I'm emphasizing, or I'm being like really hit in my heart chakra when I said the word gift. The gift that comes to you is the Chariot. The gift that comes to you is the ability to move on, the ability to soar to new heights, the ability to make a choice whether I do this again in my life or I completely annex that behavior, I throw it out the window, and I make a new start for myself. I make new roads ahead for myself. There's a lot of ownership and power and dynamic within this Chariot card. For some, it is in the form of another person. For those where, because I say it a lot on my channel, and I think sometimes it comes off as kind of cliched, but I believe in that stuff. I believe in therapy. I believe in counseling. I believe in having someone of a professional stature, of a professional expertise and knowledge and ability to go to work on deep emotional issues, deep spiritual issues, deep mental issues that other people in your life are just not qualified to help you with. Or you're not qualified to do it on your own. You need a helping hand. So this Chariot or the Strength card or both could be people. They don't have to be Leo. They don't have to be Cancer. But I feel that the gift is someone might facilitate your progress. Someone might give you a roadmap, if you think of it that way. The Chariot is about moving, traversing, right? Going across, a journey. Sounds good. Do you know where you're going? If your destination is to go from A to B and you have a fairly good idea of where B is, the Chariot person could come along and say, well, instead of you, taking a stab in the dark here, here's a map. Here's how you get from point A to point B. I'm gonna guide you. I'm gonna direct you. I'm gonna give you advice. Again, qualified, professional, insightful advice from an expert or just someone that you trust. If you do not believe in therapy, I don't know who the hell I have to tell this to, but some of you out there are like, no, I'm not going to therapy. Okay, fine. If you don't believe in therapy, you have to find someone that you trust, someone who's a good advisor. Not a friend who is, already aware of your situation and is slightly biased in one way or the other regarding your life or the situation that we're talking about. An unbiased, objective person who gives good advice. I think of them as therapists and counselors and healers and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't want to go that route, make a new friend. Join a message board, something like that. I don't know if they have those anymore, but, find someone through social media. A support group. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's nothing to do with like certification, because from what I know of support groups, like for something like NA or Alcoholics Anonymous, not saying that's what you need exactly, Libra, but from what I know of those groups, they're not necessarily working with people that are clinicians or all the time, at least, are social workers. Sometimes they are, but a lot of times the work that's done is among the people who have the issue. Like your sponsor, if you're in recovery, is a recovering addict themselves. So you know what I mean? So it's like, I hope you get what I'm saying. For somebody out there, you're like very, very resistant to this idea of counseling, very resistant to this idea of therapy. And I'm like, okay, well, find someone who's been in your shoes before. They're not coming to you as Dr. Fix It or anything like that, or Dr. Fix Your Emotions, Dr. Fix Your Childhood Trauma. Like, someone is like really turned off by that for some reason. Anyway, so work on your stuff. Have the strength and the fortitude to see it through, to meet the hard work where it lives and get down to business, and then we get this progress. Monumental progress, because again, this is a major arcana. It's just like amazing transformation or amazing leaps and bounds once the work starts to happen. Once you start to, like, it's sort of like shimmying, like you're trying to pull something out, but it's like tight, like it's like weighed down, and then you like shift it, and then it starts to come easier and easier and easier. But that initial pull, it's like you're wrangling with this thing for a long time, and then it just like moves an inch, and then it moves 2, 3, 4, 6 inches, and then eventually you can pull it out. Does that make sense? But that initial like trying to get a good grip, how can I, finagle this? How can I get like counterbalance on my back foot so I can pull this thing out? That's the hard part. Once you get a little bit of movement, a little bit of a shimmy out of that thing, it comes out. So maybe that's what's daunting you, the initial part of getting it off the ground. Now, what you move towards, your progression, what might be the goal, it's foundational to where you start. 9 of Cups. So, wish fulfillment. Some type of contentment, some type of happiness, some type of joy, some type of, like this cat looking pretty damn happy with itself after eating the canary, eating the bird from the cage, right? So, happiness, right? I don't know where this is in your life. You want this to exist, Libra. Some of you, it's in relationships. Some of you, this is like a self-contained situation, an internal struggle that you have, and you just want to be happy with you. You just want to wake up in the morning and be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, Libra, I love you. And, the reflection back says, of course, and I love you too. Like, that is like out of some of your realities. You don't care about yourself the way that you care about other people. You don't care about yourself and your well-being in the way other people care about you. Some of y'all have like a deep wound when it comes to self-love and affection and taking care of yourself and really, I'm going to step off of that because I was about to get a little emotional and I don't want to do that. So again, this, I don't know how it's going to fall into your life. I don't know where this is, if it's relationships with other people, the relationship you have with yourself, if it's in your workplace, your love life, I don't know. But to be contented, to be peaceful as well. Like, before this, maybe things were a little rough. The cat having to finagle the canary out of the cage. But now we see the bliss of after the struggle, after, in this case, the unfortunate ending to that canary's life. But you know what I mean? So like, we don't see, or rather the focus isn't on what it took to get to this point, the hunt, the actual, swallowing of the bird. We don't get to see all that nasty part. What we get to see is the aftermath of the work. So again, work starts back here. That initial grabbing of the object that's pinned and stuck, and then like trying to find, a good grip, that's here. We shimmy, we start to make progress with the chariot, right? We get it out, we yank it out, and then we possess it, the 9 of Cups. And then we feel at peace, happy, fulfilled. I don't know what that means to you, because again, it's going to go in all kinds of directions. It's a general reading. But underneath you, what's anchoring you or what's holding you up, what is kind of sustaining you, or if not sustaining you, feeding, if you want to think of it sort of like soil, it feeds your current position of discernment. I think you're distracting yourself. The King of Swords, the King of Swords, I think you can be not smarter, because I don't want to make it about, I suppose savvier is the better word. You can be savvier than what you're being right now, Libra. Because I think you're distracting yourself by things in the external or things on the surface. And again, these are behind you. You've got 2 major arcanas. So in the back of house, in the back room of your life, there's definitely hard work to be done, but it feels so necessary. But you can do what you want. You know, it's your life. Outcome. 4 of Pentacles in reverse, right? Yeah, I was about to say. 4 of Pentacles in reverse. I'll show you this card upright so you can get used to it. Oh, man. So, that's actually good in the reverse. You know, when the 4 of Pentacles is upright, we're usually, traditionally, with the Rider-Waite deck especially, we're talking about someone who's withholding. We're talking about somebody who's being, not stingy, but certainly overly protective of what they have. You know, so in some cases, this could talk to that, or speak to that, rather. You could, at a previous point, or somewhere up until recently, sometime up until recently, rather, have been really, you know, holding back on your material possessions, or really sticking to what surrounds you in your material world to feel safe, to feel secure, to feel comfortable. So again, this whole thing of going to therapy or sharing parts of yourself with someone who is a sound and trusted advisor, instead of going down that route, every time you leave work, you go straight home, you get into your PJs, you sit down on the couch and you start watching Netflix and you eat your dinner and you go to bed. Or you go out, you hang out with friends, you guys, you know, maybe you're like into, you know, fucking D&D or some shit like that. You know, you're doing things for pleasure on the surface without actually, you're holding tight to the physical pleasures of your life, right? The distractions. If your thing is travel and spending money, because again, I feel that this Knight of Wands isn't, like I said before, an adventure, but he's turned down. So some of you, previous till now, have been, you know, jet setting, going on vacations, taking a weekend away. Because you know something is awry. You're so focused on something not being right. And you've been going to different places. You've been experiencing different cultures, holding on to those material pleasures. But it's come to the point now where you let it go. Or the pleasure that you can derive from those interactions and those situations has dried up. And you're still feeling like something isn't right, something is missing. So that protective, escapist, you know, instant gratification thing that you were doing, the safety of home, the adventure and the escapism of a new culture, of a foreign country, new cuisine, new people, new language, whatever you've been doing, it's done. It's done. The money has dried up, or you've watched everything that Netflix has to offer, even the most awful original programming on that, you know, platform. And now you're sitting and you're realizing it wasn't working, or it has worked as much as it can work. I feel like you're really going to get real with yourself, Libra. Face the music. That's the other thing about the 4 of Pentacles. It can be like a head buried in sand kind of feeling sometimes. No more as an outcome. You know, some of you are resistant. That is definitely here. Some of you will resist that. Some of you are not liking that I told you that is the outcome, or that is what you maybe should go towards. And you're just like, fuck no. Do what you want. It's your life. But in terms of what has come out here today, in terms of this pathway, which I think is more desirable than this pathway, right? I would advise you to drop the facade, drop the attachment to the short-term gains or the short-term pleasures and the short-term escape from whatever is sitting in the back of your house, in the back room of your life, in the stock room of your life. Overall energy, judgment. What did I kind of just say? Face the music. Look what's happening with that angel. Face the music. Take the mask off. Major Arcana card, Judgment, secondary Major Arcana of Scorpio. So some of you might have a Scorpio that's significant in your life, but you don't have to have that. It's your call to make, number one. is always the current of the judgment card. We're talking judgment calls. Who makes them? Who doesn't make them? Who has the power to enact a judgment call or enact one, take action on one, and who doesn't? This is your reading. There are other people. They're kind of relegated here. Maybe here in the Chariot, but everything else has been you, Libra. So you make the judgment call. You decide what happens next. Do we mend fences, build bridges? Do we go to the therapist? Do we go see, go online and find a message board or find a support group, whatever? Or do I continue to do what I've been doing this entire time? Because in my day-to-day life, I feel pretty good. Even though deep down inside, I might not be satisfied. Maybe I can be satisfied for the next, 50 years of my life, just having, surface satisfaction and gratification. Okay, if that's what you want, you can do whatever you want. But the idea behind judgment is we're calling up for review some issue, situation, or relationship or behavior of the past, and we will cast judgment on it. Does this work for the future? Is this something that we should continue to do, or is this something that needs to be changed, or is this something that needs to be dead and buried, and there's no reason to reevaluate? It's all up to you, Going way back to sort of that beginning conversation that we had, where I think some of you, not all of you, not even a high percentage, probably like 30% of you, this does involve reuniting with someone or reestablishing some type of connection or relationship with someone. And that's maybe not your call to make as far as will we be reunited, but do you want to initiate the contact? Do you want to initiate the conversation? Do you need to review what you've said before and go back and apologize? And though that's going to be different for everybody, because some of you have nothing to apologize for, because it wasn't you that was, messing things up. Others of you did mess up, and maybe you should apologize. It's going to be different for everybody. But as far as like what we sometimes also put with the judgment, again, reuniting, revitalizing, or reviving and pulling situations that were dead and gone up out of the ground and saying, hey, come back, let's do this over again. That is really, I'm feeling like 30 or less percentage of the entire audience. This is more about you, less about you and other people. All right? Libra, that's your reading for August. If you liked it, there's a like button down below. Hit that for me. If you want to leave a comment and let me know how this resonated in your life, I would love to read that. I love comments, guys. Leave them. Leave all the comments. You can also share this video across your social media platforms. Let other people know that you're watching my videos and that you like my content. And of course, if you are not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Doing any and all those things really helps me out here on YouTube, helps me grow as a reader, keeps me in the shuffle, in the midst of the YouTube algorithm. So if you want to help me out with those goals, you can do any and all of those things, and that would be great. Libra, I'm going to be back in a few weeks doing the mid-August, and then of course I'll do the September and the mid, and so on and so forth. I will also be back this weekend doing a live, my first live ever, but I announced it in the mid-July, so I'm just going to reiterate it here. I am going live, but it is specifically for Leo. I started doing birthday messages last year in 2018 with Leo, and to kind of integrate new content, I will do generals at the beginning of each zodiac's birthday season, and then at some point in the midpoint of the birthday season, I'll do lives. So Leo was first, Virgo will be second, and then you're third, so that's nice. Got something to look forward to when October rolls around, huh? So anyway, this weekend the live will be with Leo, but it's open. You can come, hang out, sit down, watch me do my work, just, pay attention or eavesdrop on people's business, or you don't have to show up at all. If you're not interested in watching other people get readings and you're just like, if it's not about me, I'm not interested, that's totally cool. But I just wanted to clarify that when I do the live, it will be specifically for Leos, okay? All right, Libra, that is it. I'm leaving now. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really, really do appreciate it. Take care. Bye.